I will say that there is no Joey Lynch slander here, okay? So if you are here to bash Joey Lynch, you can see the door. Goodbye. Hey, what's up? It's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. This was like my most anticipated read of the year, and it is here, and I'm so excited. All right, so I am going to be reading Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This is the third book in the Boys of Tommen series. If you guys follow my channel, you will know that Binding 13 and Keeping 13 were like my two absolute favorite books of 2022. I can't get enough of it. If you follow me on Instagram, I am sorry. I have been like spamming my stories hardcore with this series for weeks now because I'm just absolutely obsessed. And Joey Lynch's book is finally here and I am ready to read it. Now I do apologize as I am filming this intro. Already made a good start to this book. This is going to be spoiler free. However, I will talk about some important parts of Binding 13 and Keeping 13. So if you have not read that yet and you don't want to be spoiled, I probably would not watch this video. But other than that, we are going to read this. I will talk about my thoughts about it without going into spoilers, but I am so excited. So let's read this. Okay, happy Monday night. I have been reading this for a couple hours now since I got home. I'm not very far into it because I am annotating this, and I can already tell this is going to be my most annotated book ever because I'm about 50 pages in and I have talked about it a lot. I've highlighted a lot. I've tabbed a lot. I don't want to hold this up anymore because it's heavy. So let's talk about it. So right off the bat, I will say Joey Lynch is my absolute favorite character in this series. I have mentioned that in all the other videos when I talk about Binding 13 and Keeping 13, but when I read Binding 13 initially, Joey Lynch became my favorite character right away. I always have a thing for heroes that have substance abuse problems and are just very broken beyond belief. It's why Will Grayson is my favorite book boyfriend, Lauren Hale, characters like that. And so Joey Lynch is just totally up my alley with everything that he has to go through. I knew this was going to be a very heavy book. Obviously, it's a very heavy book, but it's very heavy with obviously your topics. Now, if you have read Binding 13 and Keeping 13, then you will know it is a story about abuse. The main character in those two books is Shannon, and Shannon is Joey's younger sister. And Shannon was severely bullied in her books, and she dealt with a lot of abuse at home from her father. Now, getting Joey's point of view, I have to say, it's worse. Like, I didn't even think that was possible because Shannon's point of view was absolutely terrible with the things that she had to go through with what her father did and said to her. But when you get Joey's point of view, oh my God. So I have to say, now obviously I did say that I would mention spoilers for Binding 13 and Keeping 13. So the very first chapter, the prologue in here, it is when Darren, their older brother, leaves the family. If you've read Binding 13 and Keeping 13, you will know that there are 5 kids, or 5 kids in the family, or 6. Yeah, there's 6. And there is an older brother, older than Joey, that is not part of the family anymore because he decided to leave his family, get out of that abusive situation as soon as he became of age. And in Binding 13 and Keeping 13, Joey has so much resentment towards Darren for obvious reasons. And so in the prologue of Saving Six, you see that. You see when Darren leaves. And Joey, for rightful reasons, has so much resentment to his older brother for leaving all of this on Joey. And Joey is only 12 years old at the time that Darren leaves. And he meets Aoife in this first chapter. So that's kind of like his saving grace. Like, the worst day of his life, his brother leaves, but also it's going to be the best day of his life because it's the day he meets the love of his life. And then when you get, like, I think the third chapter in, you're a little bit further into the school year and you have been, basically Darren's been gone for a few months now. And this chapter is called, like, The Monsters Under My Bed. And I knew right away that this was going to be a heavy chapter, and it is, because Joey is talking about how he has the door barricaded. He has his 2 younger brothers and his younger sister hiding under the blanket in his bed because they're scared. And he is 12 years old, and he is trying to deal with all of this and comfort them all at the same time while he is scared and shaking and angry at his older brother for leaving. And it is just heavy, heavy, heartbreaking stuff. And like I said, I'm only 50 pages in. This is going to be a wild ride, but here we are. Hello, it is now Thursday night, and I have made some pretty good progress in this. So if I didn't mention before, I do want to say that the events of this book take place before the events of Binding 13. So this starts out in 1999, and it goes until the week before Shannon gets transferred to Tommen. So January 2005. So you see the progression of Joey and Aoife's relationship, and it is a very slow burn, friends to lovers. And I have to say that surprises me because I thought they had gotten together earlier on, but I guess it was just a friendship. But I love their friendship. Aoife is very popular. Guys really, really like her. And she and Joey, they instantly connected on the first day of school. They kind of had this meet cute. And then all of a sudden the next day, Joey is just like not interested in her anymore. And she takes it very personally. And Joey's whole thing is that he likes Aoife so much that he does not want to drag her into his messed up, twisted life. And so it's just his way of like keeping her out of the mess and out of the torture and the pain. And at the same time, though, Aoife doesn't know any of this. He keeps it all to himself. So it's really hard as you go through these chapters and you're like, oh, they care about each other, but Joey is just being the better person and putting her before him. And I just really like that. I have made a good chunk through. Like I said, this is gonna be like my most tabbed and highlighted book. I have had a lot of thoughts. So I think in my last check-in, I was talking about how you see the Lynch family drama, but from Joey's perspective, and it is rough. It was rough from Shannon's point of view, but it is even rougher from Joey's because Joey is the person that is taking care of these kids. In Binding 13 and Keeping 13, Shannon always talks about how Joey was her saving grace. He was the one who made it all okay in the house. Well, there isn't anybody in the house that's making it okay for Joey. Joey has to be the person taking care of all these kids. He feeds the younger boys, changes his baby brother's diaper. He is the one doing all of this because his mom is just so checked out, and obviously his dad is an abusive person. Getting the Lynch family drama from Joey's perspective, I don't want to justify him, getting into drugs and alcohol, but you see why it was just easy for him to make the decisions that he makes. And I will say, because this book starts out in 1999 when he is 12, when Darren first leaves, you basically see Joey's journey of starting with weed and cannabis until he gets so far down the road that he's into very, very hardcore drugs. And Aoife, she is aware of this during their whole friendship, and she just cares about him so much, and so she watches out for him and she worries about him. It's just it's heavy stuff, and it's beautiful touching stuff. Now I will say, part of the reason that I love heroes that relate to substance abuse and all of that is because, not to be too TMI with my own life, but I have found myself in situations where I do use addictions as a form of escapism. And Chloe Walsh has done an amazing job in this book when you're in Joey's perspective and he's talking about how he's doing a line, taking a hit, taking a shot, doing something about how he hates himself for it. He hates himself in the moment, but in a few minutes, he's going to be okay because that pain's going to be temporarily gone in a form of escapism. As somebody who uses escapism daily and constantly, it's just very, I don't know. I just don't really have words to describe it, but it's just heavy stuff. On lighter subjects, I do want to say one thing I really appreciate about this story is the time setting. Chloe Walsh did say on her Facebook stories, because she did have people ask about why she chose this time era that she did, and it was because she was in high school at the time, and so it's just easier to write those experiences. I was in junior high at the time, and so I love all this stuff. Aoife and Joey have a lot of One Tree Hill, Peyton, and Lucas references. Joey is always telling Aoife nice legs. And if you know Lucas and Peyton, you'll know that's
nice legs.
And he always says, I'll be seeing ya. And that is a classic Lucas line to Peyton. So I just love that stuff. So that's just kind of the cool stuff to like, the lighthearted stuff. But the heavy stuff is heavy, but I'm gonna go keep reading. I'm halfway through, but I don't want to finish because we still have like a month until Redeeming 6 comes out, and I feel a massive slump is gonna come as soon as I finish this. Okay, it is now Saturday night. I haven't read a whole lot since Thursday. I did read a bunch yesterday, so I think I have like 250 pages left. So yeah, I'm slowly but surely making my way through. Like I said in my last update, I don't want this to end. Like I have been doing nothing but eating, sleeping this series, okay, for the last few weeks. So I've already decided that as soon as I finish this, I am going to start a reread of Binding 13 because, like I said, I'm obsessed. So I am at a point now where Joey and Aoife are finally together, and Aoife is getting her first glimpse into Joey's home life, and you just see the fear in Joey when she comes around. Like, he's like, oh my God, this is the one person I did not want to get tangled up in this mess. And seeing it from Aoife's eyes, she just hurts for Joey. Now, one thing I also wanted to talk about was, so in Binding 13, obviously, the reason Shannon transfers to Tommen is because of the horrible bullying she experienced at the school that she attended with Joey. Now, you didn't see any of those scenes in Binding 13 because you had already picked up to the point where she was ready to go to Tommen. Now, in this book, you see some scenes of her being bullied, and it is rough. It is a lot rougher than I actually had ever anticipated it being. And you get all of it from Joey's perspective. And in Binding 13, it mentions how Joey had been suspended so many times for sticking up for Shannon. And I have to say, this is the best damn Big Brother ever in the world. Like, Big Brother awards all over the place. So there is a scene in here where something happens to Shannon, like something terrible. And Joey flips his ever-living shit. Like, and how he retaliates is very similar to how Johnny retaliates in Binding 13 and Keeping 13. When girls are nasty to Shannon, he goes after their boyfriends, because obviously these are guys that are not going to hit women. And so Joey retaliates by beating the crap out of this other girl's brother. And he does it in a very scary way. Like, the other students are very scared of him, but he's not messing around. And like I said, just seeing the bullying that Shannon experienced, but from Joey's eyes, it was brutal. Like, I knew it was brutal in Binding 13, but seeing another character's perspective of watching it happen to another character, it was just a whole another level. But it was some intense stuff. But like I said, I'm finally to a part where Aoife and Joey are together, so that's a little bit of light stuff, but a lot of this has been just heavy, heavy pain, and I just want to hold Joey Lynch and protect him with all that I can. I will say that there is no Joey Lynch slander here, okay? So if you are here to bash Joey Lynch, you can see the door. Goodbye. So I am going to try to read some more tonight, but at the same time, I'm afraid that I'm going to just sit and end up finishing this. which I need to. I do need to move on and read some other things, but I'm not going to want to read anything else. That's my problem. I'm so sucked into this world. Yeah, I already mentioned I will be starting Binding 13 again after I finish this. The countdown is on for Redeeming 6. But I am going to keep going, and I will let you guys know my thoughts. Okay, it is now Monday. It is President's Day. I do have the day off. So, update. I have read a little bit since I think Saturday night was the last time I updated you guys. I'm just trying to go as slow as I can, obviously, because I'm almost done, and there's still like 3-4 weeks left until Redeeming 6 comes out, and I feel a massive slump is headed my way. I really, really do. So there has been quite a bit of development since I last updated you guys. I think in my last update, I did say that Joey and Aoife were finally together. But when they were together, they really weren't putting a label on it. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not. But now we're at a point where they are just full on head over heels in love with each other, and I am at the part where it is their 6th year. If you don't know Irish terminology, that is the equivalent to a senior year of high school in the US. So they're in their 6th year, and basically the point that I am at is there is just a few months left until the book ends. I believe it ends the very end of December of 2004, and if you've read Binding 13, then you'll know that that book starts like the first week of January of 2005. So things are definitely starting to click into place of where the story starts with Binding 13, so it's really, really interesting to see how you get there, but so hard to read about Joey's struggles. Like, I love Joey Lynch, I absolutely love him, and I love being inside of his head, but you just hurt for him because he loves Aoife so much. And he did, I've obviously highlighted the hell out of this book, but he did say something to Aoife about how she is the only reason that he has to wake up in the morning. And that just killed me. I died inside when I read that. And Aoife is the type of girlfriend where she's not going to give up on Joey. She loves him too much to let him fall to drugs and alcohol. And you just see her hurt every time that he turns to that, and how she's scared that she's going to lose him, like lose his life and everything like that. And it's just interesting to me because last week I read Final Offer, and I really, really enjoyed it. However, I will be honest and say that Lana's character, I get where she was coming from, obviously, because Cal was an alcoholic, but I don't know. I feel like I'm getting a different view of how different girlfriends handle their partner's substance abuse and addiction, and I don't know. I'm more for the way that Aoife is handling this than Lana did, but that is a different book, so anyway. But, yeah, so I have 100 pages left. I'm gonna finish this thing today because I would like to try to get this vlog up tonight, so we will see how that goes, but the end is near and I'm not ready for it. Okay, so quick update. I've only read 2 chapters since I last updated you guys, but I just wanted to mention, like, once again, how absolutely devastating and heartbreaking it is to read about Shannon's trauma again, but from Joey's point of view. And you just see, because now we're about 2-3 months away from where she transfers to Tommen, and Joey's taking care of her after she had been pushed around by some girls at school, putting it lightly. But you know, she's trying to distract herself, and so she's asking Joey questions about his relationship with Aoife, and she's like, "You're in love with her, aren't you?" And Joey doesn't deny it, and he flat out says yeah. And she asks him, she says, "What's it like to be in love?" And, you know, Joey talks about how it's painful, and you can just see that, like, Shannon wants that, and you just know it's coming for Shannon. And yeah, it's just, well, I will keep reading. Okay, it is much later Monday evening. I did end up finishing this a few hours ago, and then I just ended up starting editing this vlog because I kind of needed to sit and think about my feelings and process this book a little bit before I talked about it. But 5 stars, obviously. Infinity stars are my absolute favorite books. I know some people call it a 6-star read, some people call it an infinity. It's infinity star for me. I tabbed a lot, you guys. I went crazy. I had so many thoughts in here. I'm probably, depending on my mood, because I'm a huge mood reader, I'm going to try to read this again before Redeeming 6 comes out. Redeeming 6 is going to come out on St. Patrick's Day, so March 17th. We're about 3-4 weeks away, so don't have to wait that long, but I'm really excited. So, like I did mention before, the events of this book end a week before the events of Binding 13 start. And so everything is set up for Binding 13. Shannon is ready to go to Tommen, but there is a lot with Aoife and Joey that you are left in the dark with Binding 13. When you read it, you are under the impression that they're okay. I'm not going to talk about spoilers with the end of this book, but it's not all sunshine and daisies. Joey has a huge addiction problem. Aoife is aware that she is in love with an addict. She says that she's in love with an addict and she feels like she's the only person that can save him, so it's why she's not going to leave him. But it was a lot of heavy stuff. It was a lot of heartbreaking stuff. I have to say, I had a lot of feelings towards Mama Lynch in the first 2 books. That's Joey and Shannon's mom. Obviously, Teddy Lynch, their dad, is like the devil incarnate, but I had my own opinions of Marie Lynch in those first 2 books. I didn't like her, and all of those reasons were validated in this book. I understand the situation that she was in, but she did nothing to help any of those children, and she blamed Joey for a lot of the problems, which just really... it was one of those few times where you actually want to physically crawl inside of the book and, like, strangle a character. But I'm really excited for Redeeming 6, but at the same time, I am nervous because this book was heartbreaking to read with all of the Lynch family drama and the things that you see. Now, if you've read Keeping 13, you'll know how all of that drama comes to a head, how it all unfolds and ends. But you get it from Shannon's perspective. And I don't want to spoil Keeping 13, but you guys know that there is a big scene in Keeping 13. A big, big scene. And we only see it from Shannon's perspective. So being able to see it from Joey's, especially since this entire book talks about how he's just had the weight on his shoulders of his entire family for years, and it's all his responsibility. When this scene happens and we're going to get it from his perspective... I have the tissue box ready. But I do also want to say, a few days ago in the mail. I'm so obsessed with this series, you guys. I don't know if you saw, but Chloe Walsh did release these alternate covers last week, so I already got my Saving 6. Binding 13 and Keeping 13 are on their way, but I mean, now I have 2 copies of Joey Lynch because 2 is better than 1, right? But yeah, so I have finished Saving 6. It was a perfect 5 out of 5 for me. I've mentioned 7,000 times in this vlog, and I'll mention it again, but I am going to restart Binding 13. So that's just kind of how that's going to go, but I absolutely loved this. If you followed along with me and you read it, I hope you loved it too. If you didn't, drop some comments down below. I'd love to talk about it with you, see what your thoughts were. If you haven't read the series yet and you follow me along, thank you. I hope I intrigued you enough to start this series. There really is nothing like it. I love it so much. I have mentioned before that it is my Magnolia Parks, I feel like, because everybody blew up with that last year, and a lot of my friends kind of made it their personality. This one is mine. So, all right, but as always, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.